Welcome back everybody to part 7 of our Starfox style Unity tutorial series, where in the last video we set up our weapons and weapon upgrades. Now it's time to do some UI work and create a reticule on our hood so we can better target and place our shots. So when you're ready, don't mess up that R-wing. Let's crack on. Okay, so before we go and create the charge shot, we want to have some sort of visual feedback in the scene to let us know that we've successfully locked onto an enemy target, as well as know where we're aiming our shots. And we'll do that by creating an image in the canvas UI, which will have a reticule sprite added to it. So in the hood manager, open up the canvas, right click, UI, and create an image. Name it whatever you like. I'll just name it reticle image for now. Then in the image component in the inspector, it's asking for a source image. You can select whatever sprite you like. If you go to the sprites folder, I have a polarity sprite test sheet. These are some old assets from an old project. Select the last sprite, this neon blue ring. That'll make for a nice targeting reticule. So go ahead and drag the sprite in the source image component like so. Then, if you go to the game scene, you'll be able to see it. It's looking okay, but I think we should change the size of that. Make sure that the width and the height of the transform of the image is 100 each. Then in scale, if we unlock, let's punch in a scale of 0.7 for each, and I think that looks okay. That is our reticule set up. Now that the reticule is in place, we need a way to move it relative to the facing direction of the ship. And for that, we're going to use the main camera world to point view, which we will do in the hood manager script. So go ahead and open up the hood manager. Okay, for the variables below the action slider and action cooling, let's start by punching in a public rect transform for that image, the UI Crosshair. Below, a public transform for the player transform, the position of the ship. As I mentioned, we are going to use the camera for this, so we want a public reference to the camera, named main camera, and a public float distance ahead, set to a value of 100. We're going to use this float to determine a point ahead of the player and calculate that position in the space, and then convert that to the camera's world to screen point. That's all we need for the variables. Now let's go ahead and put them in place inside a function called Crosshair. The first thing we want to do is calculate that position ahead of the player. For that, we'll create a vector free called world point. That will equal the player transform.position. We also want to get the forward vector of that position. Therefore, the player transform.position will plus the player transform.forward, facing forward, multiplied by that value of distance ahead. We then want to convert that to the camera, to the screen. So we'll create a vector free called screen position, and that will equal the main camera dot world to screen point, and inside that value, that vector free of world point based on the player's forward facing position inside the brackets. And then finally, once we've got those calculations in place, we want to make sure that we're updating the crosshair position. So therefore the UI crosshair.position will equal that new vector free of screen position. And there we go. That's all we need for the crosshair. Now, all we have to do is add it into update. Just copy and paste, just like so. I'll copy it and paste it below the action cooldown. Now let's hit save and test this out. Before we do, make sure you filled out everything in the hood manager inspector. For the UI crosshair, drag the reticle image in there like so. Player transform, drag the player parent. And for the camera, drag your camera in there. Nice and simple. And now let's hit play. Now when we fly around, the reticule follows the player's facing or aiming direction. And when we shoot, we get a better idea of where we're placing our shots. As you can see, they go through the center of the reticule. And there we are. We got our targeting, our reticule set up. Now we're ready to go ahead and input a charge shooting mechanic, and we'll change the color of this reticule to indicate that we've locked onto an enemy and change it to red. So please do look forward to that. Thank you all very much for watching, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. We love seeing you enjoy game dev, and we will see you next time. Take care.